Welcome to the Tom Style Show. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us. We really appreciate the support. Today we have Bart Myers, the man, the myth, the legend. He is the founder of Countable, Countable.com. He created Causes.com. He's all over the place. If you are in the campaign, if you are reaching out to the politicians or the lawmakers, if you are, looking at any nonprofit campaign, chances are he might be the one providing the platform. So, I did not know much about how to communicate with a lawmaker. My first thought was, oh, you just tweet them. So I was like, I'm not publicly tweeting a lawmaker. That's not something I'm going to do. But then I watched his videos, and the platform he created is like a couple of minutes. You can create a campaign. You can get the supporters. And I'm just blown away. Like, why in the world nobody ever thought about it? I'm assuming nobody actually knew anything about it. And he's putting in all kinds of technologies. It's super easy to use. So Countable.com. Now, Bart, thank you so much for being here. We're so honored. Now, tell us a little bit about this journey with Countable.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I love your studio. It's really comfortable.
You.
And again, yeah, it's good to be in person again. It's good to be able to do these things again.
Yes.
It's been a while. I miss the in-person. I miss the people together. Even all from the happy hours to meeting the team and being together. And so I take every opportunity I can. So thank you. This is great.
Thank you for being here. This is I want to say to the guests. A lot of the guests say, why can't we do a Zoom? No video with Zoom gets popular. I have seen it. It's if you're in person talking directly, and if anybody's raising funds, and if you're Zooming on the video, it doesn't go well. Most people that have come in here, and I talk to the guests later, they say, oh, I remember that guy. He was on your studio, and you guys talked about that. I was like, wow, that's something. So, but you made the investments of coming, driving down here, but thankfully we're in the Bay Area, so.
Very thankfully, yes.
Yeah. So Bart, now about Countable.
Yeah.
So you had another company before, the sidereel.com, which back in the days, nobody actually figured out what it is. I think now people are like, oh, wow, he's the one who came up with it. And that was so is it always you're thinking about startups? You're coming up with ideas?
Always.
Are you the idea
Constantly.
man?
I have a very long list of ideas that I don't have any time to do anything about. And the thing that, and I think you know this firsthand, executing on an idea well is hard.
Yeah.
And, yes, ChatGPT is here, and I'm sure that's going to make it a little easier, but it's still very hard. And just getting a group of people all kind of going in the same direction and moving toward the same goals. And then when you hit an obstacle, all of you turning, and then going in another direction and keeping people in sync, that's it's an art, it's challenging.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love the startup mindset, the idea that you're trying to solve a problem that hasn't been solved, that it's kind of you versus the world.
Yeah.
Don't love all aspects of it. Fundraising is a pain in the ass. But man, when you build something and people start using it, or people start watching your show and enjoying your beautiful studio, that's a gratifying feeling, right? And you're like, wow, I'm onto something.
Yeah.
So I've worked in tech and startups my whole career. That's not true. My first job out of school was at IBM, and I was a developer at IBM. And then pretty quickly realized big companies aren't for me, and started working in startups here in the Bay Area. A lot of different companies. Started my first company 2008 called Sidereel, which was a website to help you find and watch TV shows online.
Wow.
It was a crazy idea. Nobody thought that was going to work out. Somehow I think watching TV shows online is here to stay now.
Yeah.
And that was a wild ride. We really lucked out in terms of our timing, and ultimately sold to TiVo, and went back to the big company, did the big company thing for a bit, and then was ready to do a startup again. And Countable was born because I wanted to do something which has been shockingly difficult to do, and shouldn't be so difficult to do, which is to have technology drive social impact. To have technology be a good, right?
Wow.
which is a very timely conversation with ChatGPT and AI and the fact that we're all terrified that this is the end and so forth and all that BS. But Countable was born from a couple of things. One was nobody knew what their lawmakers did.
Yeah.
And nobody liked their lawmakers. Yeah. And on the flip side, we were all angry. Like, you read the newspaper, you read about crime, you read about homelessness, you read about corruption, you read about what your lawmakers are doing or not doing, and you get pissed. And it's like, how do we connect those two? This is a representative democracy, right? We live in a country where our lawmakers are supposed to represent us. And so the first version of Countable, which you can actually now use on causes.com, we went through a pivot. Countable is the platform. Causes is the community platform. So Causes is where you can go and basically follow Congress, take action on issues, in one click send a message to your lawmaker, and they'll respond to you amazingly.
Oh, wow.
But
so
we do a lot more than that now.
Causes.com.
You can.
And follow the lawmaker and send a direct message.
You can, on any issue. And so if we try to follow current events and sort of marry current events with voices, which is really not how Congress or lawmakers are used to experiencing input from their constituents.
Yeah.
But in our eyes, that's what democracy should be.
So are they happy when they get these messages? Because now it's so accessible. It feels like, I just go to causes.com and I can send.
Well, of course they're happy.
Oh,
they have to be. They have to say they're happy.
Yes,
that is their job, to say they're happy, and they want to hear from you. Do they want to hear from you? They definitely want to hear from you when you're a donor.
Yes.
They. I mean, there are a lot of. I've met a number of lawmakers, and they're true believers largely in democracy, and they think this is the right system, and it should be built on people having real voices. That being said, we face a crisis right now, and I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but we as Countable build a lot of different kinds of environments for bringing people together online safely and authentically. And so we create basically private communities. Causes is one, but we also work for many companies: Starbucks, Levi's, Albertsons. We work with a lot of different causes. We power the Democratic Convention. We create branded environments where people can come together online and they can achieve an outcome. They can work together to solve homelessness. They can work together to feed the hungry. They can work together to support a candidate or drive awareness on an issue. And one of the fundamental aspects of what we do is that when you enter into one of our communities, that you are in fact Tom, and I am Bart, and we are who we say we are. And unfortunately, we're at a crisis point where I think that's something that we will take for granted at our risk. And and basically what I'm getting at is that AI is taking what we thought of with spam and bots and everything to a whole new level. And basically it's going to make it so that there's going to be way more people who we think are who they say they are who are not, and way more reviews and comments and letters to lawmakers that are going to come from bad actors, hackers, disgruntled individuals who are spoofing identity. And so there's a real technological challenge. It's funny how like new technologies create opportunities and threats, right? And AI is doing that faster than anything we've seen. And so now we have to grapple with what are we going to do about it? And this is one area that is not getting anywhere near the level of attention it needs.
So you solved a problem of getting closer to the lawmakers, where people can start talking to their lawmakers, people can actually get to know what laws are being made, because we don't really know anything unless it's on the news or something big happens, right? So you're making people more engaged, so people can set up communities, they can set up these things. And now all of a sudden the people that you brought in, and some robots, using the ChatGPT model or any other language models, a lot of the spams are coming in. So now the challenge is how to stop that.
How to stop that?
And because otherwise,
How to filter it?
How to filter that?
Verify authenticity.
Yeah.
And this is a problem that's going to be in all aspects of digital engagement.
Yeah.
You may recall when Elon Musk was doing his due diligence on Twitter.
Yeah.
One of his questions, and I don't think we ever got a really good answer to it, was what percentage of usage on Twitter was bots?
Was bots, yeah.
We know it's significant. We know it's been significant. It's very difficult to weed out on an open platform.
Yeah.
And I don't think that ever was
We never got
truly
the answer,
stated. I don't think we
right?
did.
Because he was trying to get out of it, trying to get a good deal. But then he was like, either ways I'm going to buy it. Let's not make a big deal out of that.
Yeah.
So then he kind of backed out. But it's significantly higher than the 5% or whatever they were claiming at that time.
Right. Now, pre-AI, we had a lot of really good countermeasures for determining what are bots, what's spam.
Yeah.
There are certain fingerprints of bots and spam in open communities that you can identify. And, did you validate your email address? Did you log in with Google?
Yeah.
Your Google account, think about all that kind of stuff, right? Increasingly, we're going to see the sophistication of these tools such that they can overcome a lot of those obstacles. If the power of these tools is as significant as it is, where it can basically build a presentation for you, help you define the strategy for sharing that presentation, create the imagery for that presentation, write all the tweets for how you're going to share that out, and the power is significant, but with great power,
comes great responsibilities
or something.
Wow, this is so. Wow, this. So now, I think then a lot of your resources moving forward is going to be spent on building the anti-bot or for these platforms or coming up with solutions.
I think yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the solutions is going to be trusted communities. And basically, where in the last 10 years, 20 years, we've seen this this massive explosion of scale, right? And this idea that we for a while, Facebook was this impenetrable monolith of where everybody was online. Yeah. Funny, it's not anymore, right? No. It's only where people our age are. But that's not where Gen Z is and others. But increasingly, I think there's going to be a backlash to wanting to be in environments where it could be a lot of bots. It could be a lot of people you don't know. And there's, in a way, going to be a turn back to communities where you know the people who are in them. And you know that there are real interactions between them, or that there's at least somebody in charge who is at least setting the standard. And it's not an algorithm. That human touch, that person, kind of running it, vetting it, validating it, making sure it's safe. And we'll see that to some degree with a Reddit and subreddit moderator, or we'll see it with a Facebook group moderator. Yeah. But I don't know that those mega platforms are going to be as trusted. And in fact, I think they're too susceptible to be. And that's going to be the game, right? For a lot of these bots and tools is going to be to try to game those systems. Not to mention lawmakers and lawmaker communications. We'll come back to that. But what our platform does is it tries to create, kind of these microcosm communities and places where it's where we can set the rules. The rules are defined by that audience, for that audience, and where it's much easier to identify the bad actor or the unreal actor, and kick them out. And so we can do that for our clients.
So it's a very moderated, trusted community of people that are actually engaged in that campaign conversation. Right. Wow, that's very interesting. So you were so Countable is the engine behind these platforms, behind these communities. So I think maybe we can call Countable the platform, and and on top of that, you're building communities, small communities. Yeah. And so each community is basically connecting to one particular lawmaker, or there could be multiple lawmakers involved in that.
Good question. So that's a really important distinction. So basically, only some of our communities involve lawmaker advocacy.
Okay.
The premise behind the work we do is we basically saw that not everybody has or will take the same kind of impact action for them at any time or around the community. And so it's not one size fits all. Maybe you're busy, maybe you're on the phone, maybe you're traveling, you're not, and maybe you never want to contact your lawmaker, but you want to support a cause. You want to have your voice heard in some other way. You want to tell your friends and share internally. And so, let's say you're concerned about gun violence, and let's say one of our communities is focused on ending gun violence, and that's actually one of the things you can work on causes.com.
Oh, wow.
And so on causes.com, we will report on when there are, we won't only report on when there are mass shootings, et cetera. We'll also report on potential solutions, ways you can get engaged in your community, and really try to provide people with meaningful ways to have impact. Contacting your lawmakers is a very good one. And so that would be one that we will frequently put up as a, let your lawmakers know you're concerned.
Yeah.
But it could also be, Every Town for Gun Safety is a nonprofit. It's focused on gun safety. We could say, in response to this tragedy, donate to Every Town. Volunteer for Every Town. Tell your friends about Every Town. Join the conversation and discussion. Put up a testimonial and then share it out to your friends and maybe your lawmaker as well. And so that's a recognition that, first of all, advocacy shouldn't be a one-stop solution, right? It can be one of many actions you could take to have impact. And in fact, we gamify it. We'll actually build in points and rewards for the more engagement you have, the more people you rally to your cause, the more actions you drive. We have petitions, but a petition on its own is a little lame. Like it's great you've signed your signature to this, but do more, right? Share, tell your friends, put your dollars to work, put your time to work, do anything you can. Like if you're passionate about an issue, get involved in it. So that is to say that our lawmaker capability is part of a much broader menu of activities and actions that you can take on the platform.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that on causes.com. Or if you're a nonprofit or you're a campaign or you're a company and you want to do social impact or you want to create a community really of any kind, you can use Countable for that.
Wow.
Now, so we haven't, we aren't the silver bullet for this question of trust and safety online alone.
Yeah.
We do a lot to establish authenticity, that you are you and I am me.
Yeah.
And that comes through validating your email, having you create an account, examining sort of the bevy of activities that you take. So again, like all these things that we're doing at gamification can also sort of establish your you-ness on the site. But there's a lot more that could be done.
Yeah.
We like the idea of starting to create almost like a score of authenticity, where and we think that this is something that's going to be really important for really all open platforms on the internet. Is that we will all be needing to basically come up with sort of a scheme for defining what's the likelihood that you are in fact you, that you are in fact really, you have taken this action, you have submitted this information, and you're not a bot, or not a bot pretending to be you.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately not something we can do alone. That's something that we as an industry are going to have to come up with a shared sort of sense of value, like a numeric value associated with what we know about you and the actions you've taken that could almost carry with you. So it's ironic that Twitter just got rid of the blue check mark, because it was like one of the few areas where we actually had this sense of verified identity in a public forum.
Now you have to pay for it, and the bots can pay anything.
And the bots can pay anything.
Because, you're gaining influence, so, you want to pay whatever, because that's the budget. It's a, whoever is sponsoring it, they have put in that, wow, that's an interesting thing.
It's a crisis of trust
Yeah.
that is coming, or that is here. And The cost of this, though, from a societal standpoint, goes from the benign to the catastrophic, right? The benign is, I'm looking to buy something on Amazon, and a bunch of the reviews that I'm looking at are really well-written, ChatGPT authored, fake reviews from bogus accounts, right? Well, that sucks, but that's pretty benign. On the other side of the equation, when you think about digital trust, it does start to get kind of terrifying. And what I mean by that is, if I'm a lawmaker today, right, and I'm elected to office by my constituents, and then I'm elected X number of years, or reelected, right? But I'm getting correspondence and input from my constituents, typically through email, Twitter, maybe some phone calls, et cetera. And so many of those now can be spoofed. So I, as a lawmaker, could start to decide, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
I don't, all this digital, because I can't verify the authenticity of my constituents sending this information in, I'm just going to stop trusting these voices that are coming in to me. At the national level, at the congressional level, where you're getting, millions of messages, and you're already kind of locked in about what you can do and how you can do it, that may or may not be catastrophic until I get to another point in a second. However, at the local level, it becomes really problematic, because at the local level, that's where voices matter. And local lawmakers really care about what they hear about from their constituents. It makes a big difference when they hear about, somebody had, had their phone stolen from them and, were held up with a gun. I mean, that's in their community. Those are the kinds of stories that can really make a difference. And so it starts to get into where trust, digital trust, matters more than perhaps we realize in a lot of interesting circles. But taken to the extreme, let's say you're, a dictator behind a country that we believe is now effectively an enemy, and where we are supporting the country it's invading, Ukraine, right? Now, if you have a bunch of hackers, and he does, and he wanted to weaponize AI and spoof the identities of millions of Americans and send messages to lawmakers on behalf of his perspective and make it look real, he could. He probably is. Now, can they detect that? Can they stop it? It's a tough one.
Back in the days, I remember we used to get these emails that Google has done an incredible job to filter out a lot of the spams. These Nigerian prince, this and that, all those lottery stuff, and then the reviews, etc. But the way we used to detect was grammatical mistakes, or not coherent writing, or punctuation, etc. And then we're like, oh yeah, that's bad. And the way we used to know somebody actually took the time and wrote it based on the structure of the sentences, etc. But now, ChatGPT can certainly do better in terms of writing than I would do in an email.
Right. And then, by the way, right now, I think that's its fingerprint. That it's too good. It writes way better than we ever could.
This is too good. Yeah. If the review is too good,
it's like, ChatGPT, can you rewrite this in like fifth grade level language and give it a couple typos?
We can also do that. Oh man.
And that should then be the review.
Yeah, wow, it's interesting. Wow, so you were solving a very, very complex problem. And I think one of the solutions of this problem could be, people go to causes.com, they create this campaign where they try to persuade the lawmakers and the big companies to come together to come up with a standard, right? For everything, when we have a lot of these problems, we come up with a standard for things. I think for AI, but these companies that are also saying, oh, we shouldn't need regulations, et cetera, on AI, are the actual ones that are developing it. So, I hope to say I trust, but, I cannot really trust, because, of course, they're going to, anything they're going to propose have something that they're good at so that they can keep the dominance. Right. So that also becomes difficult. Wow, you're solving one of the, I think this may be there could be other problems like energy, et cetera, a couple of those global warming, a couple of
Sure.
those, but you're probably one of the top 5 problems in the world. You're in that solution group.
I believe so. I don't necessarily think I'm not going to say we have the solution, but I think the issue is definitely top 5. I think digital trust and safety and identity is going to be a huge issue. And it's interesting because generationally, if you look at kind of our generation and older, I think there's less of a fluency about kind of distrusting what's online than necessarily the younger generations who I think they just have a better Gen Z, Gen Y. They've grown up with this technology. They have a sixth sense for when it's like a scam, a bot. It's kind of like we were talking about with like the Gmail scams, the Nigerian fundraising and stuff, and like and the phishing schemes where it's like, hey, the text message phishing scheme of like, log in to check your account balance, and like, I mean, I've almost clicked on a couple of those. Like they're good. Yeah. And that's pre-AI, a lot of that stuff. Like what's coming and what it's capable of doing in the wrong hands. And actually it's interesting you bring up like OpenAI and Microsoft and like Google and like those are I have greater, maybe it's naive, but I have greater trust in them to put some catches. Like, I mean, for example, with ChatGPT, actually I take that back. With the ChatGPT API, there are much fewer limits than, I mean, I know if you've got like a pro account in ChatGPT, there are certain limits and so forth, but in any case, what concerns me more is actually kind of the leavings. Like let's say you could use the ChatGPT Model 3 and kind of run it on your own and develop your own large language model and run it in your own server farm anywhere in the world and train it on a data set. Yeah. But not have any of the checks. Like I feel like this technology is now out there. And
that's not too difficult to do.
Can we put that back? I mean, you've got a bunch of GPUs. Yeah. You've got a data set, you've got open source code, you train it.
And the lawmaker communication, how that happens. So that
or just writing effective letters.
Yeah.
Or, crazy tweets. Or, I mean, it's that cat is out of the bag. And so where I think we need to address this corpus of challenge is in really identifying where there are open environments, where in like all open environments, like everything we've done for spam and bots and all that, we have to do that like 10 times more, 100 times more. Yeah. And part of the defense needs to be people validating who they are and being willing to, what you said earlier, like you're anxious about putting your driver's license out there. Yeah. But if you do put your driver's license up there in a trusted system, and we can then validate that you're you, and then we have various keys and ways to know it's you, that's probably worth something for you to be able to prove to your colleagues, the environments you're in, et cetera, that you are in fact you. Now, where this becomes even more problematic is not just the question of your privacy, security, safety, data breaches, and so forth. It comes into effect as a justice issue and an equity issue because you have access, I'm presuming, given your studio, to certain technologies, right? Yeah. You probably have a computer, you probably have access to a phone, you have a driver's license, right? Yeah. There are undocumented people in the United States, there are unhoused people in the United States, there are poor people in the United States who don't necessarily have access to technology, a bank account, a house, a place to a way to get a driver's license, et cetera. Are they then left behind in an era where we have to start to validate our identity? Yeah. Right? And how do we make sure they don't get left behind when, as a consequence of AI and bot spam, forcing us to build all these new walls around our technology and our communities and our environments.
And the ones that needed the most could not get in because they didn't have the high-speed internet, they didn't have the phone, they didn't have, ID expired, they couldn't go to the DMV, whatever happened. Wow. Yeah, that's also, I think, that's another challenge if we put too much stuff, like a lot of times when you try to sign up for something. Because for Amazon, it's always, Bezos did the one-click thing back in many years ago.
Yeah.
And you were used to it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just a one-click. And now whenever you go somewhere else and they tell you, oh, you're sending a code to your phone, or it's like, I'm not doing that. Phone,
Right.
where is my phone? You bring it up. So that's also that extra steps. Wow, these quite
There's a lot of layers to this onion.
yeah, a lot of these things. But wow, but but not many people are looking into it. Not many people are trying to solve. One of the things
It's human behavior, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we react to when the fire's in the theater.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily take all the precautions to make sure there's not. I mean, it's a bad analogy, but we can like, so invariably somebody sees this stuff coming.
Yeah.
And can we generate enough concern early on, seeing it coming before the catastrophe hits? And in this case, it's going to be subtle. It's going to happen in lots of places. It's going to be hard to detect it's happening. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be talking about it. So I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to talk about it.
Oh no, we love it.
But I will say that there is a tremendous, not 100%, but there's a lot of interest in talking about this issue and starting to look at solutions and getting ahead of it. We've had, I would say I've had the fastest response from Congress and the Senate's kind of IT groups on this issue than on any issue I've ever seen. And they are aware, they are concerned. We are moving quickly on trying to work on countermeasures, and unfortunately it's not up to them alone. It's an industry that has to be moved in this direction. And the implications are profound. I mean, this is like stuff that the NSA is going to be involved in, and the FBI and the CIA and DOD, and because it's our world, our country, our digital systems are so interconnected, so open, so global, and bad actors can just like screw with us at will, and they will. They're going to, if they're not already.
One of the things I noticed on your platform, you have this ability to do video also for the lawmakers.
We do, yeah.
So I think that could be not a perfect solution, because there are ways to fix that also, but because I have seen a bunch of Tom Cruise deepfake videos,
Right.
so what's stopping them from me saying, because I'm saying so many things. All I have to do is just take those clips and train the AI,
right.
and then it can say anything in the world, and the lawmaker is not, oh, is this lip moving? What's happening to his head? Is he moving too much or too little? Nobody has time. Like, oh, okay, that's what he said. So but that could be a temporary solution probably for some time. One of the things I thought of when I was looking at your platform, I think a lot more engagement can be done if, instead of campaigns being like a web page, your campaign spits out a TikTok video. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking for the Gen Z. They probably would see it. And then they can message and goes directly to the lawmaker, whoever is commenting on it. I don't know.
I don't think that lawmakers would love to be getting TikToks specifically, but yes, you're spot on. Look, this is a big challenge, and you actually alluded to it when we were talking earlier. Like, you've really focused on building your show on YouTube, and it's a lot of work to do just YouTube. But then if you start to layer in, what if I want to be on Instagram? What if I want to be on TikTok? What if I want to be on other platforms? Taking your content and then reformatting it, and then building your audience around it. Well, that challenge exists for everybody working in any kind of digital engagement medium. And one of the things that we offer that's important to our clients is that we give them their own space, which it's their audience comes together, signs up, takes action, comes together as a community. But they'll say, well, why wouldn't we just do that on Facebook? Why wouldn't we just do that on YouTube? And we will usually say, no, you should. You should still do it on Facebook and still do it on YouTube. But the point is to bring people to a place where where you can know they're them
Yeah.
authentically,
Yeah.
where you're in control because YouTube does this less, but Facebook and Twitter in particular have been notorious for changing their algorithm and changing the way people engage with you. And you've seen many businesses and organizations like thrive on Facebook and then stop thriving on Facebook because the algorithm changed.
Yeah.
And that's a real problem if you've put all your eggs in that basket. And so we would recommend that you know where your audience is, and you definitely develop those social media channels. You develop your email list. You need to do it all, and it's a pain in the ass. It takes a lot of work, and it's not it's not for everybody. But also have your list, your community, your platform, and that's where people can come, and you can always reach them through that. And you're the algorithm then, not Facebook.
It's a lot safer also because if I'm, if I'm
It's a lot safer.
what do you call them, the campaign starter, or I'm starting the campaign.
Yeah.
And I get a bunch of trusted people in that community compared to being attacked by bots on one of the social platforms because I trolls and all that. Because in this case. It's more targeted, whereas the other one, I could be attacked from anywhere.
Right.
Right. There's no way I can stop it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because, like Facebook's ad dashboard, you probably have some experience with this. Is it counts engagement of any kind as, hey, you got engagement, and so that's actually part of its metric of success.
Yeah.
Is that like your cost per engagement, et cetera, was lower because you got all these engagements. But when you dig in and you start to look at, well, wait a minute, this is actually a troll comment, and this is actually a angry face, and it's like you start looking at like, well, wait a minute, is all this engagement really something I wanted to pay for or drive or have on my content? Does that mean it's intrinsically a good thing just because I got engagement? And no, it's not. Like the point is not to reach everybody. It's to find your group, your audience, bring them together in a platform where you're in control.
For many people, they might be thinking, but if you may be able to reach a lot of people in a large platform. But the thing is, you're not stopping them from using those platforms. They should still be using that.
Definitely.
But for a local lawmaker, being involved in the whole national politics, which is very easy to be involved in because there's always a news and you can start commenting and you can start gathering people around and things like that.
Right.
It's probably not the best use of your time. It might make you popular, and there could be those, it might give you more funds, might be running for president down the road. There are some benefits to that, but the people that actually voted for you are getting zero benefit out of you tweeting around, right? I think in that case, the engaged community, very specific. I think, your solution is. So now the other thing is, it's not just lawmakers. You're also giving it to the companies. Like you got this Patagonia and a bunch of these other companies are using the campaigns.
Right.
So can I use your campaign?
Yeah, of course.
Wow. So I can literally say, okay, show more support for the show or something and start a campaign. And how do I do that? I go to your website and just set it up. You have
we have a few different ways we can do it. Yeah. So quick start. The easiest way to start a campaign or to start to generate awareness would be on causes.com. Causes.com is really built for taking action on issues. And usually you'll find an issue there already, and then you can weigh in on it. You can join the conversation. You can advocate to your lawmakers. You can share it to your friends or colleagues. You can record a video or a testimonial with it. There's a lot of power there, largely for social and community impact. So connecting with your lawmakers.
Okay.
Now, in terms of the Countable platform, what's cool about the Countable platform is that basically we can spin up something like Causes for anything, for any brand, for any effort. You want to launch your candidacy for an office. You want to go find supporters. Awesome. You're a major brand and you've decided your issue that you really want to invest in is fighting hunger. Albertsons, Safeway, They're one of our clients, and they are they have made their issue giving to and supporting food banks and ways to fight hunger in the United States. They call it Nourishing Neighbors, and that is a brand that is putting a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of just their ability to drive awareness for an issue in front of their customers. And so our platform basically is an amplifier of that, right? It's the place where you can go to learn, engage, support food banks, drive outreach, drive awareness. That's their issue. And so that tends to be the sweet spot. We definitely, have supported products and, built communities, but usually there needs to be kind of that passion hook.
Yeah.
Why would you come back tomorrow? It's got to be something you care enough about that you want to, and keep engaging with and do more with, and we're working toward a goal together.
Wow.
And that's, honestly, that's why I love the work we do is we're not just building another ad unit. We're not just creating, an AI that optimizes your schedule for the best meeting times, and no offense to people who are working on that stuff. They'll probably make more money than I will, but what we're doing is really about purpose and impact and using technology in a positive way and solving real problems.
So you are very focused on social impact on communities. How did you get into that? Like, how did that happen? The SiteReal.com owner, how does he get into this this whole campaign? Because first of all, these things are a little slow moving. It's not like I start a campaign and tomorrow that becomes a viral thing. It could happen, but generally these are a lot of petition, a lot of activity, the bill, a lot of these slow moving things. So human beings, when it's slow moving, they don't see what's going to happen. They're like, it's too long, we'll just do it. Whereas a lot of the startups, they focus on very fast stuff.
Yeah.
So how did you get into that?
Well, I had a liberal arts degree in school. I studied history, and I've always had kind of our past as people, like how we got here, how civilization developed. You talk about things being slow in terms of social impact.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the history of the development of civilization and democracy and how we got here, it keeps speeding up. And the pace of change in society, there was slavery in human history until really 300 years ago, and then 250 years ago, and then you look at the pace of expansion of rights and the ability to vote and civil rights and gay rights and then the time span of these things is actually really fast. How quickly things are happening now, and look at the pace with which legalizing of marijuana has started to happen around the country.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Once it reaches a certain sort of point, it becomes this almost self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's extraordinary, and and can be dangerous too. And meanwhile we've got some really fundamental challenges in the world. This whole climate change thing.
Oh yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah.
The rise of tyrannies and autocrats and this tendency toward there's some shit. Sorry if that's you have to bleep that out or anything, but there's some shit, and
that's true. That's true.
And now there's even and throw some AI into that mix.
Oh God, yeah.
Right.
Wow, yeah.
And I have 2 kids, and I want to do what I can to make the world a better place for them, and if we can make a little bit of that magic happen, and using the tools that I know, which is technology, capitalism, startups, bringing teams together, let's innovate together on solutions and try to solve some problems. That sounds pretty good to me.
So this is so amazing, because for your hiring process, the people you're hiring, they have to have that mindset that they want to make an impact in the society, not just the money.
That's right.
So compared to other startups where it's, generally for money, I'm joining, okay, I'm going to get the stock option, vesting done, et
But it's
cetera.
also like free lunch and like your free gym and like, or maybe they don't do that anymore. But that was the other thing
cut
that
off
like
a
all the
bit
startups.
at Google. And I think Twitter, they cut it off completely. Wow, yeah, those are, wow. So but for your team, are they fully remote, or you guys are coming to the office?
We're hybrid.
Hybrid now.
We're trying to get back to the office. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a new world.
So are you guys
making this work
in the SF or where?
Yeah, our office is in Oakland, and most of our team is in the Bay Area, and so we can get together. Right now, we have a kind of a dedicated in-office day once a week, and then we have a portion of our team kind of scattered around the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But in answer to your question, we definitely prioritize purpose and passion, and obviously, it's one of the things that I've loved most about this company in particular is that we've just had an incredible group of people working for us at all points, and they care a great deal. They work really hard. They work together really well, and we're all trying to help our customers succeed with the platform. That's also like part of the beauty of a small company and a small team.
Yeah.
Is to be able to kind of like there's a point where it's really hard to maintain that. And I have a friend who works for a company that's been I can name the company, but they've been known to have a really, really excellent culture, but they've also grown a lot, and they've moved to a fully remote model. And,
oh, wow.
And in moving to that fully remote model, they no longer know a lot of their coworkers.
Yeah.
And when you don't know your coworkers, what is that culture like? And when you're fully remote and you rarely see each other and so forth, it's something is lost.
Yeah.
And I suspect that it's not gone forever, but we're going to have to do more work to get back to the point where we can have strong culture, mentorship, strong networking, supporting each other, getting to know each other, and liking our coworkers in these environments. Some companies are better at it, and some teams are better at it. Like I feel like sales teams in general have worked remotely forever, and there's a bound together mentality about we win through our numbers and so forth, and there's something to like about that, but that doesn't work for everybody. Throw software engineers in that kind of a culture environment, that's not going to work well.
Because the creative things, I cannot imagine doing creative stuff remotely. That's...
You got to have your whiteboard. You got to have, you got all like...
Yeah, the ideas and things like that. And I was talking about that in another...
I thought Meta solved this with the Oculus. We can all get into a VR environment.
Quest, right? The Quest Pro or something.
We can brainstorm together in there.
Yeah, that the whole thing. The one thing the cartoonish look of things. That's what kind of I was never. And then also.
Right.
You have to prepare your day because you might be motion sick. It's not like take a phone or like, okay, I might have to take a Tylenol after this. So it's too much.
Well said.
Right.
It is too much.
So I think they're solving it once it becomes a simple sunglass type thing. Okay, let me wear my glasses, something like that. Not like a gigantic stuff.
Well, the augmented reality concept, that's pretty cool.
I think Microsoft bought that HoloLens, and they didn't do much after that. They just kept it like that, I think. Snap is trying. Everybody's trying. Everybody's trying, but I think in terms of breakthrough, we haven't seen it yet. What
I think is going to be both amazing and terrifying is when the generative AI linguistic abilities that we're seeing in ChatGPT and Bard and so forth are merged with Siri, Alexa, the Google Assistant, where you can basically have a in real time conversation. Like the back and forth, I've seen two ChatGPTs put into an environment where they're both given personas and they interact with each other and they try to solve a problem.
Wow.
It's wild. And in this case, it was a YouTube video actually, and in this case they were going to build their task was to build a game, and they did.
Wow.
And they scripted out in Python a game. It was like a tic-tac-toe derivative, and these two agents co-developed it. But what was fascinating was the back and forth, and not just the back and forth in terms of like input, output, and response, but the fact that it was like littered with all of these, oh, that's a good idea. We could build on it this way. And then the other one's like, oh, that's interesting, but I would kind of change this. And like, it was like two humans having a dialogue. I mean, it's modeling us.
Yeah.
And here it was doing it to itself. Two different agents. And it was pretty crazy.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
But don't you get frustrated with like Siri or whatever, and it's like all you can basically do with Siri is like set a reminder or turn on a timer.
Has Alexa, Siri. These are. But when you were saying Bart, that's the Google one. I was thinking your name, Bart. So wow, it's very close.
Yes, I am also an AI.
I was like, oh, he became an AI.
I'm the Google AI.
Yeah, that could be confusing. I'm sure somebody someday is going to get confused because you're talking about the AI and the dangers of it.
It's already
and they're going to watch
confusing. I live in the Bay Area. We have Bay Area Rapid Transit. Bart Simpson. I mean, sure.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Somebody will probably call an AI Bart. That'll be
Bart.
That'll probably be Bart Simpson, and then God, that would be an annoying AI.
So now. Are you? What are you planning to do with causes.com? Are you trying to expand the causes the community, or you're like expanding other communities using Countable, or like what are your kind of like 5 to 10 year plan?
Jesus Christ, that's that would just be pure fiction at this point. The 5 to 10 year plan.
We need a ChatGPT to write
I'll tell you one thing we're working on right now with one of our partners. One of our partners implemented a tool called Global ID, and Global ID is a decentralized identity platform where basically it speaks to a lot of things we're talking about. It's a way to develop trust, and basically I can use Global ID as my login, but when I log in with Global ID, I've also told Global ID who I am, and then I've proven it through a variety of mechanisms. So that could be my driver's license or my passport. It could also be that I logged into my bank account.
Whoa, wow.
But not given them my bank information.
Oh, okay.
Just proven, had the bank account prove
that
my name is Bart, and that I'm there. Or my Zillow account, Pick any bevy of like online data about you that validates you are you. Oh, yeah. And those all become basically sort of like we can go from a bronze standard to a silver standard to a gold standard of like, you've gone through so many hoops that we know this is you. And then when you log in using those credentials, you get to basically lean into the fact that you've basically given your life story to this platform. Highly useful in certain kinds of digital transactions. In fact, a lot of it was built for DeFi and doing financial transactions in like blockchain environments where identity needs to be kept private, but you also need to validate you're you.
Yeah.
Ironically, in an AI trust questioned world, this becomes more important than ever in a lot of different areas. People can spoof you in so many ways. But it gets better. The folks behind Global ID have also been, pardon me, early supporters of some of the decentralized social networks that are out there. So I talked earlier about you create a Facebook group or you create a Facebook channel, but then the algorithm changes, right? You're screwed.
Yeah.
Well, what if you could take your audience without getting their email addresses, without anything like that, but take your audience and say, oh, okay. Thank you, Facebook. We're going to move over to this other platform and take everybody with you.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't that be magical?
Yeah.
So it exists. It's new. It exists. Oh, wow. Jack Dorsey's been one of the big early supporters of it, but it's getting a lot of early adoption and experimentation. It's called Nostr. Nostr. And it's a decentralized social network protocol. Okay. And basically using public-private keys and leveraging platforms like Global ID, we can create portable communities effectively. And this is super interesting to us as Countable, where we want to build private, safe digital spaces where people can come together and have impact. Well, what if somebody could take their list from Facebook and bring it to Countable?
Yeah.
No, Facebook's not going to allow that.
Yeah.
But Nostr enables this basically sort of protection of identity, but building of networks that then become essentially decentralized but still connected. Crazy stuff.
That's interesting.
Very, very cool technology. And so we're currently betaing it.
Yeah, this is actually I think you're onto something, because I remember back in the days when I was in college, that time not many people had websites and things like that. So I used to sell websites in the farmers market. and
Selling websites in the farmers market. Nice, dude.
Farmers. So they were like, okay, yeah, just do whatever.
That's creative.
So I was like, and one of the things I noticed, WordPress has been pretty popular for generations. And
Hundreds of years.
There was, and the WordPress comments where you
My grandfather used it.
So there was one company that came up with that, I think about 10 years ago or something. Yeah, Discuss. Yeah,
Yep.
that you can comment and it takes you can take it with you wherever you go. That's one identity. And so yeah, you kind of remind me with the Nostr about that.
Yeah.
That the same concept, but with DeFi and the AI and all that. Generally in life, I have seen things are pretty much the same thing with a bunch of added stuff becomes something different. But for the new generation, is the first thing they see, right? So for them, they're not thinking about Discuss and WordPress and all that
Right.
stuff. They're like, wow, this is the DeFi moment. This is the blockchain. So yeah,
it's funny you mentioned. I was thinking about the new, like, Instagram lets you only have one link in your profile.
Yeah.
No posts can have links. They really want to lock you in.
Yeah.
And so there was this incredible innovation, the link tree.
Yeah, I have seen that nowadays.
Which is, you click on the link and it opens a web page with a bunch of links. And I saw that and I'm like, it's Yahoo again. We have Yahoo back in the form of Instagram. And it's like...
And they charge you monthly or something for that, right? If you want to be rebranded.
Oh, for Linktree? Yeah, I'm sure if you want like a branded one
because
or something like that. Sure.
I looked it up. I was looking for a personal trainer or something.
Yeah.
And usually fitness community, they all have Linktree or something related where you go, they have a bunch of these links. And I was like, what is just happening? This is not, wow.
Right?
You are a perfect podcast host and a perfect podcast guest.
You're the perfect podcast host. I'm just following your lead.
This is, but you also have a very similar podcast style, right? You talk to, I think the ones I saw, you were the guest. And then a bunch of people, everybody wants to have you, so that's.
I talk too much. Nobody wants me.
Oh, no. So Bart, now, so countablecauses.com, and you kind of gave us this whole, I think you gave us a lot of food for thought, right? These are to think about.
I hope so. I hope people are both watching and thinking.
I think they would be kind of engaged.
If you made it this far, congratulations.
Yeah, that is, wow, that's a dedicated.
We've been on a wild ride here. Like it's...
And
we're just fueled by Starbucks drinks. So
the Starbucks is also one of your. Are they your customer?
They are, yes.
Oh, look at that!
Yes.
Wow.
No, I mean, shout out to them. They've been with us for a long time, and they want their mission. They have many missions, but one of their missions is that people should. Their partners. So if you interact with somebody at Starbucks, that's a partner. Wow. That's what they refer to their employees as. And they want their partners to be active in the community. And they want them to be aware of what's happening in the community. And so they are investing in helping their partners register to vote and be aware of issues and get involved in local elections. And they really they have a vision of Starbucks being like a community center. It's fantastic. And it's great to see brands and companies, particularly today, willing to step out and extend themselves around their values in their community. Because companies play a huge role in our society. They should have, particularly if it's going to be positive, we'd like to see them taking some positive actions and having some positive input, and supporting their employees taking positive action, positive input. I have a serious issue with people suggesting that companies should only be on the mission of generating profit and not be good actors. We all should be carrying that forward.
Yeah. Starbucks is all about community. Now that I think of it, because every time I listen, I'm a big fan of Howard Schultz. And he's a speaker. Whatever he says, he can just explain to you how to get to the restroom. You're like, oh wow, this is it's just unbelievable. He's the whole storyteller. I think that's the storyteller. You have that storyteller personality as well.
Wow, that's a serious compliment. I've had a little bit of media training, but I'm no Howard. But no, he is phenomenal. He's a great storyteller.
So now, what's your advice for these folks, for the entrepreneurs? Because I ask that all the time. Because people are all lost. A lot of people are thinking, "Oh, my friends are all doing AI. I got to do something with AI," or "My friends are doing this." Or this is trendy. Everybody's in blockchain. I gotta do crypto, something like that, right? And this trend thing. Whereas you have chosen something that's probably you kind of believed in, and the beauty of that is you can kind of stick to it, regardless whether it's trendy or not. That's not. And the employees that you hired can stick to it as well, without being, this is the hottest thing right now or not. So, that's kind of a very interesting way that what would I still want to do 10 years from now, whether that's fashionable today or not.
I mean, the path that I've been on and that Countable is on is not an easy one. Pursuing purpose and impact and profit is hard. I just said, I applaud companies doing it. I think large companies, particularly, Fortune 500 companies, et cetera, should. That's the right thing to do. As a startup, having that in your DNA and having treating people well, treating your partners well, being, yes, do that. But also, don't get ahead of yourself. The entrepreneurial journey is hard enough. First figure out what problem you're solving. I highly recommend bootstrapping. I highly recommend starting small. I highly recommend getting into market with a product as quickly as you can. Getting people, test that you're onto something, before you invest, your hard-earned personal money or try to raise money from others. I would absolutely say, I wouldn't say go start an AI startup, but what I would say is get really proficient in using AI. Because ChatGPT,
that's a good idea.
It's scary powerful, and you can very quickly use it to create a lot of the basic collateral you're going to need in starting a company. Putting up some simple messaging for your website, helping you build your pitch deck, creating marketing copy, writing tweets, creating imagery for it. One thing that I found that it's incredibly powerful for is kind of transforming one asset into another. So you write a 5-paragraph kind of overview of your idea, and then okay, I want this summarized into an pitch email, or help me turn this into a deck, and then lay out the slides and the structure. The brain in there is way bigger than mine, and it can do some incredible stuff. And for that matter, this is actually something that I think is incredible. With a little bit of technical knowledge as a person. Let's say you know a little bit of how to do HTML and CSS, right? Or JavaScript. ChatGPT can make you very dangerous very quickly. You could say, you can pose questions to ChatGPT on how to orient something in HTML, create a div, lay out something in CSS, or write a function in JavaScript that does this for you. It will write it for you. And then you can just try it. and pop it in, or write a little Python app, or create create a prototype for your project or application. Like it's that powerful, and I'm less concerned, at least within the entrepreneurial side of it, like replacing your job, but it can make you a lot more effective, efficient, and dangerous. So learn it, play with it.
Yeah.
It's
that's
really cool.
Because this is like entrepreneur supercharged.
Supercharged.
Turbocharged by
Supercharged.
GPT. Wow. This is pretty. That's a very good way of thinking. You're very different in terms of your ideas, and I love that. I love that. Now, okay, so I think we're almost at the end. So my message is, anybody is passionate about something, they should go to causes.com.
Yeah.
They should create a campaign, or if there's already a campaign, chances are there's already a campaign.
Yeah.
Join the campaign and reach out to the lawmakers. I actually did not know how to reach out to lawmakers, which I learned from Bart's videos last night, how to actually reach out. And it's so
Appreciate
easy, probably 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. You can reach out to your governor, your local lawmakers, congressmen. Yeah. So, folks, go check it out. It's important. It's important, and it's part of being a citizen, being a good person, a good citizen of the country, to actually know how to contact a lawmaker, how to be part of something. So causes.com, countable.com, and we're honored to have Bart. And once we have more solutions on the things we talked about, I think Bart is going to come visit us again.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk more about that.
Love it.
Thank you, Bart. Appreciate you coming on. And folks, please do subscribe.